Hey guys, Dave here with 19 Series Outdoors, and we got a great episode this week for you. This week it was all HuntLyte. So we sat down with the owner, AJ himself, and we discussed everything. AJ he's very similar to us. AJ has a military background, and he kind of gets into that a little bit. But we just had a lot of fun just talking his products, talking about HuntLyte, talking about the different saddle systems, the setups he has, and also just talking about life in general. You guys are really gonna enjoy this. You're gonna get to see how good of a guy AJ is just based off this whole conversation. So before we get into it, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and check AJ out as well. Check out HuntLyte on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and check him out at huntlyte.com. So let's get into it, guys. Come on. What's up, guys? Welcome back to 19th Series Outdoors. I'm Dave,
I'm Jake.
and we have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. AJ, the owner of HuntLyte. How you doing, AJ?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. We're getting closer and closer to being back stateside, so every day is just a little bit better, you know?
Oh
You've
yeah,
been there.
no, I've been there. I remember those days.
Yeah. So actually, let's just lead right into that. So AJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? Who is AJ Hunter?
Oh man, that's a deep question. I won't go too deep though. So, uh, veteran, kind of part-time mountain guide, former full-time mountain guide, and now owner of HuntLyte. So, just an all-around outdoorsman. Grew up between North Carolina in my younger years and then moved up to the Northeast into New Hampshire and was a city kid from the beginning. Got out of the city by joining the military, joined the U.S. Army, was an infantryman, did my first not tour, first assignment was in Korea. And then from Korea went to Fort Carson, Colorado. From Fort Carson deployed to Baghdad, Iraq from 2006 to 2007 during that the surge for Baghdad. Got out in 2008, went to college and fell in love with climbing in college. Went on to climb Denali, Kilimanjaro. I got 100 feet from the summit and on Mira Peak, a 21,000-foot mountain in Nepal, and just kind of went around that, vagabond climbing bum lifestyle. In 2020, I had picked up hunting a little bit in college. A Vietnam vet got me into traditional archery for a little bit, but I couldn't sit still. So sitting in a tree stand wasn't really my big thing. And it wasn't until 2020 when I started picking up hunting again from spending a lot of time in the woods and realized that this is actually a really cool activity. And I can combine a lot of the pursuits that I've had in the past.
Yeah, you kind of once you figured out the whole mobile game with the obviously with the saddles and with HuntLyte, it's it can be exciting. It's not like how it is with I don't know, similar like how my dad would do it. Is just this is your spot, that's where you're sitting, and if you shoot something, cool. If you don't, that's your spot. That's where you stay.
That's how my dad is.
Yeah. So once you learn the mobile game, it really opens everything up, makes it a lot more enjoyable. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, I specialize in hunting saddles just due to my background and everything, but I still prefer to be on the ground moving around more than anything. I know that's not a very effective means of archery hunting for whitetail deer, but there are days during the archery season where I've got my saddle on, I've got everything to climb a tree, and I just walk and I don't get up into a tree.
It's a different way of doing it.
That's how you are, Jake.
Yeah, I've never really done it with a bow though. I've always wanted to do a spot and stock. I try to always do a spot and stock. It never works out right, but I do a fair amount of walking in rifle season at least.
So AJ, I didn't realize you did that much climbing. So we've been talking a decent amount, and I knew you had a background in climbing, but dude, you did some awesome stuff.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I'm very grateful and blessed to have had the opportunities that have been presented to me. I didn't mention that I also spent a summer guiding out in the Pacific Northwest on Rainier and Mount Baker, and it was a passion of mine. I think due to the injuries that I sustained while overseas, having now two hip replacements, and still having some back issues, I kind of got out of it. And I've been slowly trying to get my way back into it to kind of find that mindset that it's really nice, right? It's a lot like hunting, where when you're climbing on ice or on steep snow or rock, you have to be fully present. You can't have things running through your mind. Same thing when you're taking a shot with your bow.
That's 100% true. I mean, when you're out there and you're archery hunting, I don't know a whole lot about climbing. I've never done that. I've had the opportunity to go to mountain school. I'm sure you've heard of mountain school.
Oh yeah, right over in Jericho.
Yeah, I didn't go to mountain school because I ended up we came here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, I know with hunting it takes all of your focus and a lot of not just preparation, but while like you were saying, while you're in that moment, everything has to be 100% dialed in on the task you have at hand, or else the success rate just drops.
Yeah, I think there's an aspect of hunting that's not really involved with the climbing, which is the game that we're chasing too. With climbing, whether it's rock or ice, ice is a little bit more dynamic, but it's a very static environment that you're working with, right? The rock is going to be the rock. The ice climb is going to be the ice climb, more or less. But when you're out hunting, you could be in the right place, you might not be there at the right time, or you might
Yeah.
be in the totally wrong place.
Yeah, there's definitely some luck that comes into it. I've noticed that over my years, that's for sure.
Many times where it was the wrong place, the wrong wind, but it was the right time.
Yeah, somehow, some way, it always works out like that. But hey, you got to take them when you get them. Take a win when you can get a win.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So, do you think? Now, I'm assuming this is probably true. Do you think a lot of that climbing experience led into why you started HuntLyte because you had so much knowledge already of? Because it's pretty similar. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar, right?
Yeah, there's definitely some parallels, and absolutely the experience that I have uh, climbing and guiding played into the designs that I'm bringing forward, and not necessarily starting HuntLyte, but just kind of what I'm putting into HuntLyte. Um, whether it be, I think honestly, getting blown up while overseas and then taking the lead climbing falls while rock climbing really played into the design of the saddles. At least the outsider, not so much the workman. But then just the HuntLyte ladder, right? That's just repurposing a tool that's already used in rock climbing for our specific needs on trees.
That ladder, I am I'm the most stoked person you'll ever have about that thing. I've been talking with Jake nonstop about it. I can't wait. I don't know if you've seen. I put an order in.
Oh
I
yeah, I
can't
saw
wait.
both your guys' orders.
I am stoked. That thing, there's nothing like it. Nobody's doing anything like it, and I'm like, this is it.
Yeah, it's amazing enough. It's got my afraid of heights ass buying one too. So
Well, to be fair, there are similar products that are out there and similar methods of climbing, right? Like I started using a rock climbing ladder aider on a piece of like on a rope, essentially a two tether method. So I just took this two tether method and then repurposed it into another way. Like one of the things that I don't like about the one sticking aspect of things is when you're moving your stick up, it's not that I don't trust my saddle to hold me. I trust my saddle to hold me. But for a lot of people, when you're just hanging there, reaching down to grab it can be a really awkward move to make. Or even
Yeah.
like hanging and reaching up as high as you can while you're hanging in your saddle to set it up. What's nice with our ladder system is you're standing on the ladder while you're strapping the next move. I still rely on the saddle to hold me, but you have that foot there to give you that balance and it's not as awkward.
Yeah, you're not as unstable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, most of these other companies, these other brands, they keep pushing these sticks and they're just trying to make them lighter and lighter, and they're made out of this material and that material. And to me, I don't care. It's still something clunky that I have to carry or put in a backpack, to where your ladder system, literally, it just goes in your dump pouch, or it goes in your pocket, or you wear a fanny pack, put it in that. Like, it just seems so much nicer to me.
Yeah, and what I love about saddle hunting right now, especially where we're at, is it's there's so many different flavors of the way that you can get up there. What works for one person isn't going to work for somebody else. Like, I understand the ladder that I'm making is not going to be for everybody, you know, but at the price point, you're going to be able to get up 3 sticks and you're spending a third of the cost for, your climbing method. Um, there's going to be pros and cons with everything as well, right? So it's not going to be as stable as a climbing stick that's set solidly onto the tree. At the same time, you're not ripping through the cambium layer of the tree with the strap. You're just using the friction of the strap to hold it on. So it's again
Yeah.
those takeoffs, or those, pros and cons. It's just what naturally comes to my mind coming from the background that I have.
No, yeah, it fits perfectly for a guy like myself.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought the price point up too, because it really is a lot. It's very affordable. It's what, like $130 or something like that. And if you're adding up the price of sticks from these competitors that you have, I mean, they're crazy. They're astronomical numbers, but they're branding it as there's some special material. Yeah, you know what I. Yeah, it's. But hey, teach their own. It depends on what you want.
Yeah.
It's
And
all
the way that I look
different
at it
products for
is
different
like,
people.
ultimately, this is just another tool for somebody's toolbox, right? Like, if somebody's really comfortable using sticks all the time, sweet, use your sticks. But you want to go on an elk hunt and it's a dry summer, and you're going to end up sitting over a wallow or watering hole. Okay, do I want to bring my, 1.5 pound or 2 pound climbing stick out, or do I want to bring my 8 ounce or under 8 ounce ladder out? Or not even just the weight aspect of it. What's going to pack easier in my backpacking pack when I'm going out on this adventure?
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. Is
Me too.
sticks just take up space. And don't get me wrong, I have sticks. I'll probably use sticks at some point, because I still have hang-on stands that I'll probably set,
Yeah.
and then more or less sort of hybrid hunt, like where you rock the saddle, you can still swing around,
Yeah.
but you don't have to do quite as much work getting up the tree.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, and the other part, depending on certain states, like here in New Hampshire, you're not allowed to leave your tree stand or your climbing sticks up past a certain date. Or if you're on private land, you have to have written landowner permission to hang it. Well, like, a gray area is a strap is not considered a climbing stick. So you can essentially pre-rig, that tree, and all you're bringing in and out with you is that ladder.
Ah,
I didn't think of it that way.
okay. That's kind of wild that you have to take everything. You can't leave it.
PA is the same way. There's a certain date that all your stands have to be out and all that.
Yeah, but like you can let it
You can let it.
overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, same thing here.
Oh, okay. That's my fault. I misinterpreted.
Yeah.
The brain wasn't working the right way, I guess. But no, yeah, that's really cool. Actually, I didn't think about that. You can,
I'm buying 3 more now.
yeah, yeah. Here's another question I have about it. Are you gonna sell extra straps if you want to try and go higher and higher in the trees?
I am going to end up selling extra straps in the future. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get around to doing it this year. Um, this year, I kind of took a big leap of faith with in terms of like increasing production of the saddles and bringing 2 new products to market as well. So I'm going to see how these sell just as the kits with 3 straps. And then if that demand is there, I already know a couple of other people that are interested in buying the straps individually. It's just a matter of putting in another order of the toggles from the injection molder locally, and then getting the stuff rolling. So right now where I'm at, I've got to put a pause on stuff, and I've got to make sure that the moves that I made are actually going to work in my favor.
No, I completely get it. You're playing chess here. You gotta plan everything out. You gotta make sure everything's working.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we hit the ladder pretty hard.
Yeah.
Now let's move into your saddle systems. You have two systems. Why don't you give us the rundown on both the outsider and the workman?
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So the Outsider saddle was our flagship product that I came out with. And when I was trying to get into saddle hunting, I started my first year hunting ground hunting, and I had already had my first hip replacement at that point. So I wanted a saddle that was comfortable when it was on and that I could actually move around in and felt secure. I'm not going to say safe because all of the saddles that are on the market are safe and they're reaching the industry standard. There's a level of security that I was looking for coming directly from the rock climbing background, that I wanted the waist belt to sit a little higher but not have the saddle ride up, and not have to shrug it down but then have the waist belt be low, or have the belt be lower. So over, probably the good course of 6 months to a year trying out different shapes, it finally clicked on me to have the panel be separate from the waist strap itself. And it allows you to move the panel into the position that you want while still having that security of having that waist belt at the top of the hips. Um, that's somewhat totally different than the Workman saddle. The Workman saddle, it kind of was a pet project of wanting to just make the lightest saddle on the market. When the Outsider came out, I thought I was there. And depending on how you're measuring stuff, I think we were still there measuring the medium saddle weight wise. Some companies were measuring their saddles without the bridge line, but you kind of need that to saddle hunt. So this, was the Workman was, somewhat of an ego project for me of wanting to make a lighter, more mobile saddle. Um, but through that process, what it's allowed me to do is create a saddle that integrates a little bit more seamlessly the with the clothing that we're wearing. So remove the whole lumbar strap that the belt rolls through on the Outsider, and just made two loops that the belt runs through uh, on the Workman. So you don't have to wear it through your belt loops of your pants, but that's how it was designed to fit, is you can put it on while you're putting your pants on. So again, I walk in with my stuff. So come saddle hunting season or come archery season, my hunting pants and my saddle are married together because I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
going
all
to
in one
go out.
piece.
Yeah, yeah. So when I get home and I'm done hunting, I just take them both off all at once. I don't have to take my saddle off. So the belt runs through the belt loops of the pants and through the saddle. It's intertwined. I was also able to get that weight down to under 15 ounces, stroking my ego and making it the lightest saddle that's on the market.
I love that.
Hey man, I'm gonna call myself out for my BS. Like, it was 100% an ego project of trying to make the lightest saddle while still keeping it quiet, right? Like, I can go way lighter with some of these, like, some of these space age, quote unquote, or more like sailing and high tenacity, fibers and material that are out there, but they're gonna crinkle, they're gonna be loud, and it's not gonna sell. So I wanted something that was going to be, feasible to bring to market, and that would actually people would like and enjoy. And so far, the people that have tried it out, the feedback is positive.
Yeah, you got to find that happy balance between what's light and what's going to work. Because, like you said, if you're selling a product that is going to sound like I don't know how, like a grocery bag out there, no,
Yeah.
not a grocery bag, but making a bunch of noise,
Yeah.
then guys like us just we wouldn't, you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
wouldn't it
PT
wouldn't work.
pants.
Yeah, it just wouldn't work. But no, that's perfect that you I like that you did it just as an ego thing because hey, you pulled it off. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, it got the job done, but I think for me, stroking that ego is something that I'm personally trying to work out of. So for me, it's like, what's the point of doing it? Is the point of it for me, or is the point to serve the people who are going to be using the product? And ultimately, that's kind of who I'm working towards. I can make stuff for myself any day, but one of the things that I added on, like, you can see none of the saddles have any molly on them, right? And you guys are really familiar with the molly system. It
Oh,
sucks.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's on
It's
everything.
Pain in the butt at times.
Yeah.
it sucks. It's a pain in the ass. Oh, excuse me, pain in the butt. um,
You're good. Go ahead.
okay, and but people wanted to know, how do you attach the dump pouch onto your saddle, or can you put molly on here? And I've continuously said, like, no, we're not going to keep adding molly. So I came out with that cord lock system that you just pass through the belt. Or one of the things that I added on to the Workman was, people wanted a way to carry their sticks or their platform in, and I just had like a clean slimline thing. So I added two little loops for people to be able to carry their sticks or their platform on there, or to be able to tie a tie cord on. So it's actually taking a listen, you know, to what the customer needs. What do you actually need to function? And I will say that, like, our saddles are more of that minimalist style saddle. If you want to just get back down to the basics and the bare bones of what you need, then our products are going to be for you.
Me, I don't want the extra flashy,
No.
the extra. Oh, I have this, I have that, I have two dump pouches. I have all this Molly. I like some of these saddles come with like a. It's almost like a pad, but I guess it's to keep you warmer on your butt. It's like what are we doing? I don't need all this stuff. I I'm with you. I want something that's gonna do the job. It's gonna be comfortable, and you're gonna feel secure. I don't need the. I don't know if it's. I feel like the military kind of teaches you that way a little bit too,
Yeah.
to where you don't want extra stuff. I don't know.
You can't carry it.
Yeah.
Don't. You can't carry it on you. Don't bring it with
Yeah.
you. You know.
Yeah, now, I mean, don't get me wrong, those warmers that go on the outside of the saddles are great products, right? Especially for those people who are sitting later into the winter months, or closer to the winter months. Um, you know, when you compress insulation, you're losing that insulating value. So you got people who are wearing thicker pants and then putting their saddle on over it. They're losing that insulation value. So having a product like that is good. Or if you just get a pair of full zip puffy pants and any of the HuntLyte saddles, you can use your saddle underneath and then put your puffy pants on top of that, and the bridge line will still stick out.
I like that.
There you go.
I wear bibs in the
There
wintertime.
you
So.
go. Oh, dude, I'm AJ. I'm like the simplest guy in the world. You remember the old waffles?
Oh yeah.
I wear the old waffles. I'll wear wool socks, and I'll wear some sort of jacket. Right? It could be a hoodie. If it's super cold, I'll wear a hoodie and a jacket, and that's what I go with. And I just put myself through the pain. Like I don't know why. It's just how I am.
I've been there. I was doing that for a little bit as well. I was a little hard-headed and stubborn at times. And then I realized, especially if I was going out for a longer sit, I really enjoy spending most of the afternoon out sitting, or just out hunting, whether I'm sitting the whole time or I'm just out. There's something about that. But when I was going with less gear, nothing to kind of give me a little bit more insulation, I was pulling out right at prime time because I started to
Uh,
shiver. The sun starts dipping down, you start shivering, you're like, all right, this isn't working. I'm not even going to be able to pull my bow back.
yeah, yeah. My biggest problem always ends up being my hands.
Yeah.
My hands get so cold, so I'm a big hand warmer guy. I carry a lot of them with me.
There's I think it's Black Ovis, if I remember correctly, that has their like glassing down mittens, but they're mittens that like fold over, so they allow you access to your fingers still as well. Um,
Okay.
that's what I've started using in the colder months. Once it starts to get to like late October, November up here. I'll bring those with me, and I'll put those on as well because I've also, history of frostbite in hands and feet. I definitely get cold in the hands and toes.
Yeah, you're probably a little colder up there than we are. Pennsylvania, yeah, we get cold, but honestly, it's not that bad.
It's gotten real cold, and you don't hunt rifle season, but it's gotten real cold up north in rifle season to the point that I've got long johns, bibs, long john t-shirt, jacket, hand warmers, and a muff to stick my gloved hands and hand warmers in.
I just mean on average, we're normally 20s.
Yeah,
You
Okay,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It's normally not too terrible.
yeah, we're
But
around that.
don't get me wrong, it still sucks. It
Yep.
sucks bad. but yeah,
Well, especially if you're sitting there, right? Like, 20 degrees when you're moving is totally different than 20 degrees when you're just sitting there and nothing's happening. You're not burning any energy. You got to either eat food to keep your, core active and your stomach doing that work to warm you up, or you have to really insulate yourself.
yeah, I have a strange suspicion that when we get back home this year, I'm gonna freeze. We haven't felt anything below 70 degrees in I don't even know how long.
Yeah, the AC gets cold, but
So,
it's
yeah, like it's probably 70 degrees in here right now, and
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be a rude awakening for us.
Now, are you guys doing a lot more sitting or are you doing more walking? Like, what's your guys' style of hunting?
I'm big on, so I'll do a lot of e-scouting, and then I'll get boots on the ground. I'll go in, I'll figure out where I want to exactly be, and then I'm gonna hang and hunt and try and capitalize. I don't like sitting in the same spot too many times because I feel like your first time in there is your best chance, if that makes sense. My
Yeah,
first time in is my best sit. It's probably going to be a kill sit. Now that happens very rarely when it actually works out like that, but odds are, if I'm going in, there's no scent. This is my best chance. So I'll try and sort of move around like that, find different areas, and do hang and bangs, and hopefully they work out. But Jake is more of a
Archery season, I do about the same that he does. I'll sit the same location more than once. Like if everything's right, like I go down even into like the moon phase. I'll sit the same spot like 3 days in a row. Then I'll move. Come like muzzleloader and rifle season, it's when I start really getting on the hoof and looking for them. Just because I can't sit too long, and then you get cold. I don't want to dig my bibs out, dig my jacket out, so might as well get up. Not seeing much, don't feel strong about this, or whatever excuse I may have. But I mean, I've shot more deer on the hoof than I have sitting with a bow because I've never shot one with a bow. So
and I am the exact opposite. I'm always in a stand and archery hunting. So we kind of balance each other out, you know.
yeah,
yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're different, but it works for us.
yeah.
How about you? What's your style?
It is more mobile, but as I'm learning this thing called patience, I'm learning that you got to sit a little bit longer. So, you know, the big thing that I'm trying to do with my hunting journey personally is I'm trying to just experience different styles and different tactics and techniques used, and seeing what applies. Because, I can say that I could be a little bit pretentious in some senses with my approach initially to learning something. It's like, oh, I'm going to hunt from the ground and this is how it's going to be, right? And then you learn to kind of, for me, I learned to slowly kind of like back off of that when I'm realizing that no, like you don't dictate how you hunt. The terrain, the region, whether it's like the culture around it also dictates it. You guys were talking about, one of the controversial topics about like, hunting deer with dogs down in the South. Um,
Yeah,
Whether I agree with it or disagree with it, it intrigues me, right? Because it's like that's been the style down there. So I also noticed you guys, partnered with Scrape Doctor. I've never made a mock scrape. that's something that I want to start doing in my toolbox to see how it applies. Like I'm hunting mountain deer. I really prefer to get up in elevation. I want to park my truck and I want to walk uphill. I don't want to walk downhill and I don't want to walk flats. And for me, that's just because if I'm successful, it makes the drag out a little easier. And like I'm a mountain guide by trade. I'm a climber, so there's something about being in an elevated position up higher that just calls to my soul. Um, so how are these mountain deer going to react to some of the techniques that are used, say in the Midwest, right? Like it's totally different region by region, and I find that aspect of hunting to be really, really cool.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. There's certain things that you'll see. It used to be you'd see it on TV, but that's
Yeah.
kind of dead these days. It's not really around anymore. But you'll see or you hear these guys, and they'll talk about using. It could be anything from a decoy, a buck decoy, to snort wheezing and grunting and rattling, and that stuff doesn't work everywhere. I'll tell you, it certainly doesn't work in central Pennsylvania, from my experience. But yeah, you're 100% right. There's different things are going to work in different areas, and it could just be come down to the deer's personality, whether they like a certain thing or not.
Yeah, I can tell you what doesn't work is trying to take a headshot on a sleeping buck. That does not work.
Didn't get him.
No, my shot hit exactly where I was aiming, but the issue was is I put ghost sights on my or yeah, like ghost ring sights on my rifle and I wanted to see the impact, so I didn't cover the target. And I hit just over the right hand side of him, but that was probably with the whole screw up that I had made there, that was the coolest experience that I had had last season was sneaking up to a sleeping buck, hearing him snore all on bare ground, being able to read the tracks right after a rainstorm and knowing when they were getting fresher and newer and knowing when to calm down and then just having the awareness to hear a weird sound and say stop and say, huh, what bird is that? I've never heard anything like that. And then just stop and look instead of doing what I used to do, which is just trudge along.
That is a win.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't harvest the deer, but think about that memory you just made. That's something you're gonna remember for the rest of your life, and that's the beauty of all of this whole hunting game that we're all playing. It's it's not all about killing for me, at least. I mean, yeah, it's great to be successful and see your hard work pay off, but your hard work paid off just as much, if not more, by that just taking that step and realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't walk so fast. Let's look at this, and you got an awesome memory out of that. That's cool as shit.
Yeah, the idea of counting coup with a deer is something that is high on my list.
Yeah, that's awesome. So speaking of being out and walking around, why don't you tell us a little bit about like your chest rigs, your seat pad, and I want to know a little bit about this backstrap because I've seen on your socials how you're using it for way more than just a backstrap while you're saddle hunting.
Yeah, where do you want me to start then?
Anywhere you want. You can start with the
All right.
rigs. You can start with anywhere.
Yeah, I'll start with the chest pack then. So this essentially is like a redeveloped and relaunching of a product that I had put out probably 2 years ago. I called it the AT apostrophe TK or attack pack, and I had to mess with the spelling because Meta didn't like the word attack as a thing. It was too violent for
Oh
them.
yeah, Meta
Um,
hates everything.
but the original idea behind that was I wanted something that could act as a fanny pack, a sling pack, and a chest pack. And I kind of chomped that all out. It can still be used as a sling pack, but I got the whole fanny pack idea out of it. It's either a chest pack or a sling pack. It's one of the two. The shape, if you look at it and you look at the kind of curved top shape, there are a bunch of other products on the market that have that similar shape. But what we did differently is we added a little bit more of a wedge at the bottom. So you have more volume at the bottom of the pack and it tapers up. So, you know, you know what it's like when you're wearing your kit and you've got everything on the front and you look down and you going to going to take a leak, right? And you can't see yourself, right?
Yeah, you're just a big square.
Yeah, this kind of gives you a little bit more visual cue in front of you. So if you're out tracking or still hunting, you can see where your next foot placement's going to be versus having a big square right underneath your chin blocking that view. Um, the zipper also stops just a little bit below the halfway point, and that's so that way you can unzip it and stuff's not gonna, the important stuff that you have at the bottom isn't gonna pour out. And there's Velcro on the outside front for like our shotgun shell placard, calls, any of that kind of stuff that has a Velcro, a hook Velcro piece that can attach on there. And then on the inside, the front panel and the back panel of the main pocket also have that loop Velcro. One of the local guys up here has a different version of it, one of the earlier prototypes, and he uses it fly fishing. He's a big fly fisherman. So he'll have a fly patch on the front Velcro and he'll just unzip it and roll it forward, and it kind of gives him a little shelf to work on as well. It kind of folds over and gives a little bit of a shelf. Originally it was a little bit smaller, but then I had a friend come over and we were just messing around, shoving, AR mags and an IFAK into it, and we were able to kind of close it up initially. So I'm like, all right, let's add a little bit more space in here. So now, if people are looking for like a truck kit, you can fit an IFAK and 3 AR mags in there. You can stack 9 AR mags in there as well. Just, it's not just the hunting world. There's a little bit of like the fun world in there too. Um, and then
That's awesome.
the thing that took the longest time for me was actually just settling on a harness kit. When I first came out with it and sold it, I sold it with a single strap, and um, it took a little bit of time because I wanted to know what was going to be comfortable to wear with the backpack, right? Ultimately, I'm looking at this as a different way. Instead of just having a bino harness, why have a bino harness and then have to have all these add-ons when you can put your binos in the pack and then still have room for other stuff in there? So what's going to be comfortable with a weighted backpack on for a Western hunt? And I didn't know that until I went on a Western hunt. So you guys are a lot younger than me in terms of time and service. So um, the load carrying equipment, or LCE, was issued way back when, and it's just the thick webbing belt and like it was a padded strap that you would wear. Um, well, when I first joined, we cut the padding out, and it was just the webbing that we used. And when it comes to distribution of weight, what I've realized is like if you just kind of go with the form and flow and don't have the stitching and don't have foldovers and don't have all this stuff, you have less hot points and pressure points along the body as you're wearing it. So I still went with the X harness right now. There is an H harness in development for it, and we're trying to figure out how to keep it, again, low profile and slim, but still have the carrying capacity that it's going to need. So that's the NE pack in a gist. Um, I can just keep rambling. If you guys want to interject, just stop me, tell me to shut up, and interject too.
Oh, dude, you're fine. I'm actually, yeah,
Soaking it in.
I'm listening just like everybody else will be. I'm, like, I'm taking it all in here because right now I currently don't run a chest rig, but I am very considering of it after hearing this. To be honest with you, because I do bring binos with me, and I don't necessarily have a great way of carrying them. I kind of just throw them around my neck, and because I didn't like the harness that I had, it was just uncomfortable to me. So I'm definitely open to trying a new system out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't use binos when I'm out hunting. I bring my rangefinder during archery season, but like what I typically carry in my chest pack is half a liter of water, my back strap, my climbing like my climbing equipment that I'm going to need, like my pull cord, my carabiners, and that kind of stuff will be on there as well. And then snacks. If it's colder out or if I'm going a little bit farther, I'll bring an emergency bivy sack. And then I've got my license, tape, lighter, hand warmers, just a small little bit of accoutrement stuff like in the chest pack itself. And my rope will connect on there. So like everything that I need to climb will be on my body and self-sufficient, and I'm not bringing a backpack. People will ask, well, what about layers? Dude, I do what I do when I was a kid, and I'll just like roll it up and tie it around my waist.
I really, really like that because I'm the same way. I rock a fanny pack currently because I didn't have a chest rig that I really liked, and but yeah, I'm not big on taking a. I don't like carrying too much stuff. That's why I was so excited about your ladder system. I don't want to carry a backpack in if I don't have to. If I can fit everything I need on my person, uh, I'll be so much happier.
I'm the same way. I downsized my backpack. It's made everything better, and I may downsize even more now.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, the challenging part is just to try and convince people to do that. Like that's honestly the hardest part is like, how can I convince you that you don't need to bring as much stuff? Um, but that's a
I
that's
could
a
see.
conversation for another day, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. But
Um, and then like the any pad, that kind of came out of wanting to not wear knee pads personally while saddle hunting. I don't, again, not bringing a backpack, so not wanting to carry extra stuff. I don't have any external knee pads. So what I was doing was I was wearing my mountain biking knee pads underneath my hunting pants. And even if I'm going back, a mile and a half or 2 miles in the mountains here of New Hampshire, I was getting super sweaty in the knees, and sweat creates scent. So I didn't want to have to deal with that, or I would have them like pulled down to my boots, kind of like, probably how you guys wear the knee pads when you're out on patrol, right? Knee pads down
yeah, yeah.
down
So
at
we
the
have these
bottom of the boots.
combat pants. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you guys got the new stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. The
uh,
combat pants they have them built in, but they pretty much end up around your ankles.
Yeah.
so, walking in with them that way and then getting to the tree and having to finagle them up, or again, just not wanting to carry some of the harder knee pads. So I played around with just making one out of the foam, like just excess pieces of foam that I had laying around, stitching everything, and then stitching the elastic in and all this stuff. And I realized, all right, well, one, like what's a wear item? Elastic is a wear item. So let's not stitch that in. Let's tie it in so that way, if it stretches out over time, it's replaceable for the person. Um, let's not stitch the pad in. Let's actually use a product that's already on the market. So we use the Thermarest Z seat, and the any pad is essentially just a pouch or a pocket for the Z seat that includes the Z seat. So it straps around the tree. It has, I think, a 12 hold strap, a 12 slot strap out of daisy webbing, so it can accommodate a variety of tree sizes. And then the toggles that are on there also toggle into the belt that comes with both the outsider and the workman. So now you have a way to carry it in. You can just toggle it in, have it sit at your back level, or at your back at your kidney level as you're walking in. So if you're wearing a backpack, it would go underneath the backpack. If you're not, now you've got just a little bit of extra warmth there. If you end up needing to take a seat, it's already in that position to just slide down to your butt, and now you've got padding and insulation preventing you from losing any heat that you've generated through the ground. um, if you're still hunting or turkey hunting, just rip the belt out of the outsider of the workman, and now you've got your hunting belt and use the same thing. So just one, I try to think about things in a multifaceted way where they're not just going to form one job. Like, yeah, a saddle's going to be a saddle, but the belt comes out and now it's your hunting belt.
I love how versatile everything is.
Yeah.
How you're making everything very simple, but everything's reusable. Everything has more than one purpose, to where you can, like you said, you can take that belt out. You can use the pad while you're in the tree or while you're on the ground, or you have the chest rig and you can put your shotgun placard on it, or I'm sure you can put it on the belt, right?
Yep, yeah, it fits right on the belt as well because we've got the loop Velcro on the belt also.
You're doing fantastic. Everything just flawlessly seems like flows together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately what I'm trying to build is a full system that like you can kind of, you know, was it GI Joes or yeah, I think it's like GI Joes, right? The like 12-inch GI Joes, not the small little plastic ones, but the ones that have like the clothing that you can change, the Barbie dolls for dudes, right? Like
Yeah.
ultimately what I'm trying to create is like you get the base model, like you get the base model with the saddle, and then you have all the different accessories that you can use and customize how you're going to work. You know, some of the plans in the future are going to be working towards looking into more of the upland realm or, you know, the still hunting and the tracking realm. I I love that I'm doing the saddle stuff first because that's kind of the background, but I'm also not trying to pigeonhole myself into just being a saddle hunting company. I want to be a mobile hunting company, and that's all games. Like Upland is a mobile hunting game. You know, duck hunting, if you're jump shooting, is a mobile hunting game. Uh,
Like that chest rig seems like it would fit in perfectly for Jake and I to go out and hunt some birds with.
Oh, absolutely.
Where you got everything you could. Because I don't really take much with me when we waterfowl hunt or when we go out and take your dog to upland hunt. Because you don't really need much. You kind of just take a little bit of what you got, and that would be absolutely perfect because you can put your shells right in the shotgun placard. You can put your water in there, throw a little snack in there, your license, and you can be good to go. Compared to me stuffing 90,000 things in my pockets and being uncomfortable walking the whole time.
yeah, I mean the waterfowl hunting is the reason why I added the loop Velcro on the inside of the or the front part of the inside main pouch. Um, because one of the guys that I have as an ambassador that was helping me out, he's like, "Oh, this is awesome! I love this thing while waterfowl hunting. I just wish I had a way to keep my shotgun shells more in the front with me. Can you think about putting loop Velcro here?" And it's like, "Yeah, let's try it out and see how it works."
I like that.
That's awesome.
Because, we go out and I'm sitting there and it's like, I'm reaching in a soggy box of shells. The box is falling apart,
Yeah, because it always rains, dude. It always rains every time it rains. But
I mean, ultimately, I just pour them loosely into there. You know, I've got them laying on top of like my water and everything. So I've just like reach in and just grab shells as I need them, which when duck hunting, I use a lot of shotgun shells. I don't know if most people do. I don't know if that's a common thing. For the amount of ducks that I bring home, it's proportionately more shells.
yeah, it's pretty common with us too. Well, last time we were out last year, right before we left, I didn't even shoot the gun.
No,
All I did was call. I just sat there and I let everybody else shoot. So I saved some money that day, I guess, or I wasted it on a license. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be the same, right?
And then the last
Oh,
question that you had was about the backstrap, right?
yeah, that dude, you're the. I don't know if you put it on your story or if it was a reel that you made, but you made some awesome points there, and that I never would have thought of any of that with the the different uses you were using that backstrap for.
Yeah, so I mean, the back strap initially it is like that that back relief strap or the back rest, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to, whatever term you want to use, and like admittedly enough, I will say that it is probably more needed for longer sits with our saddles compared to some of the other saddles. Again, everything is a trade-off, right? Um, but not having the panel go all the way up to the top of where the lumbar belt is, it can feel like you put a little bit more pressure on your back if you're sitting for like 4 hours or something like that. Not a lot of people are doing those 4 to 6 hour long sits. I'll do an all day sit at the beginning of every season just to, test out the product and see where I can improve it. So one, it's that back relief strap that you can have there, and it can hook just right onto the rope, just girth hitched onto or excuse me, like press it onto the rope, or you can clip it on with a carabiner onto the same anchor point that you're hooked into. Um, it's also the foot strap for your single rope technique of climbing. You hook it onto an ascender, you clip the rope through, do all the fun rope work, which I'm gonna not try to explain on a phone call. But essentially,
Yeah, yeah, that's
it
tricky.
it acts as the foot strap for your single rope technique style of climbing. Um, and then if you just learn a couple of hitches, like a clove hitch, um, is really the big one. If you can just learn how to do a clove hitch, then you can use it as, a strap for your shotgun or your rifle. So you don't have to bring a sling out if you don't want to. It's not as functional or as comfortable as a sling, but it still functions in that same purpose. Or, I clove hitched probably 3 or 4 wood ducks onto it this year. I'm trying to remember what the limit was because I wasn't over limit, but my limit of wood ducks. So you make the clove hitch in the cord, you put their neck through, tighten it down, and now you can carry your ducks out while you're duck hunting. You can do the same thing while turkey hunting, theoretically. I haven't been successful this year, so I can't say for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work with a turkey as well. You clove hitch the neck and then clove hitch the feet. Um, and then I'm also working on using some of my toggles, and I'll be testing this out this coming, or not, yeah, not this weekend that we're in, but next weekend at Total Archery Challenge. Using some of the toggles that I have, I'm going to try to use it as a bow sling as well while I'm on the course, and see if I can figure out how to make that work. And again, this is me just kind of like testing out certain products that I'd like to maybe bring to market or see if it's going to be feasible to use.
I like that idea of the bow sling because I'm not big on the whole leave it on the ground and pull it up with a rope. I did that for the longest time, but I eventually got to a point with my climber that I could climb with it, and that was so much better than having to hoist it up over. You risk dropping it and all that. So I like that idea.
Hey, you said about dropping it. Man, wait till you do.
I
That's
have.
right.
I
Yeah,
have.
I have too. That's a real treat. Yeah, it really puts
Yeah,
a damper on your day.
Yeah, might as well pack it up.
Oh man, how high did you drop it?
I dropped mine from the top. I was
Oh man.
probably between 18 and 20 feet.
I wasn't that
somewhere
high. I was like
in that range.
10 to 15.
And I went home and reshot it in. It wasn't too far off. It wasn't that bad, honestly, but just peace of mind.
Yeah.
Going home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
no, back to that strap. It seems like you're finding new ways that I never would have dreamt of.
Yeah.
To use it. You were talking about turkey hunting in your one video where you used that strap and you made it like a sling off of a branch, stuff like that. It's crazy. I never would have thought of anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, my mind is a little odd. It doesn't necessarily think within the confines of the box that we're all in. I'm thinking way outside the box, and it's like for me, again, I think this kind of comes from like the alpine climbing world of the climbing stuff. Is like when you're doing an alpine climb, a longer day climb, you're bringing everything that you need with you. And you're also trying to shrink your gear down as little as possible because you're climbing up a vertical like rock or ice wall with all that gear. And it's all hanging from your waist. So the more you're bringing, the heavier you are, the less efficient you're going to be moving and the less efficient you're going to be operating. So it's like, what can I use that can do multiple jobs and multiple functions? It's kind of the opposite of that, two is one, one is none philosophy.
Yeah, I love the way your brain works.
Yeah.
It's helping me out. That's for sure. It's making me think things a little differently, making me see different purposes for different things.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think the caveat that needs to be said about this whole thing when it comes to like paring stuff down and not bringing as much in is like I have, almost 20 years, maybe a little bit more than that if you count the military time of being an outdoorsman and embracing the suck and knowing and having the skill set to know how to survive in these different environments, right? With very little stuff. Like I understand and I know that stuff, which then allows me to go with even less stuff out there. So I think that is a caveat that needs to be said. If people who are just getting into it, and they need to bring all this stuff, for instance, instead of just using a chest pack, they need to bring a backpack because they don't not know how to keep warm. if it gets cold. They don't know how to start a fire with, flint and steel or just sticks or whatever it is. You have to make sure that you have that margin for error for you. But once you learn those skills and you have more experience and you get more comfortable with it, honestly, I think for me, just wanting to continue to grow and challenge myself, it's pushing those margins. It's, well, what can I get away with not bringing and seeing if I'm going to be okay?
Yeah, we were actually discussing. So I believe we talked about this. I think I told you about this. So we're gonna do a little island challenge
Yeah.
Yeah,
where
yep.
we're gonna bring a very limited amount of things, and we're gonna see how well we can do. And yeah, I'm excited for it.
So like
Yeah.
your
So
own little alone.
yeah, we're on the same page as you. We're just trying to. I don't know why it's fun to push yourself to the limits, but it is.
Yeah.
Like
I can think of, I did wilderness therapy for a little bit as well too. And one of the adventures that we went on, it started raining, and I looked at the clouds and I was being pretty arrogant. I'm like, oh, it's gonna pass. It's not gonna be a long rainstorm. So I didn't pull out my rain gear and put it on. And it was not a little rainstorm. It was an hour-long rainstorm, and I got drenched and soaked. And we made the students pack extra clothing because it's institution, and we want to make sure that they're safe. Because it was only a 3-day thing, I don't bring extra clothes out. What do I need extra clothes for? It's 3 days. So I was soaking wet, and the students were like, well, how are you going to dry off? What are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to sleep in my clothing. They're like, you're going to sleep in your clothing? I'm like, yeah, because my body heat is going to create the environment to dry my clothing out. I'm going to use the heat and my sleeping bag and my body heat to dry my stuff out. It was miserable, but I did it, and I woke up the next day and showed them. It's like, look, my clothes are dry. Everything's dry. Like, if you need to in a survival situation, you can do this stuff.
Yeah. I've done that on a few FTXs.
Uh,
Just shove it down at the bottom and hope and pray.
you just
socks on the
described
shoulders.
me on our last big hoorah we did here. You,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, you gotta love it. You live and you learn.
Yeah.
You live and you
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah, you just got to learn to embrace the suck sometimes.
For some reason, the suck is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, sucks real bad in the moment, but looking back on it, it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Makes you laugh, smile. Don't know why, because it sucks. But
Yeah.
I think it's what forms us as human beings, right? Like, I don't think a lot of the listeners that you guys have are the people to kind of just sit in their comfort zones all the time. So they also get it. But if there's anybody that is a listener that doesn't understand, like, if you're just sitting inside and you're in your comfort zone all the time and you're wanting to get out and do something, just try it. Like, try to find a mentor if you can, but like you've got to challenge yourself in order to grow and know what you're really made of as a person. And as you continue to do that, you start to find and learn really cool things about yourself. Whether it's that you're not good at X or you have this problem or whatever it is, you don't really learn that stuff until you're really challenging yourself.
yeah, that's the thing is no matter what you do, if you try it, the worst thing that's going to happen is you fail. Then you learn.
And you go back and try it
And you
again.
go back and you try it again. It doesn't matter if you fail. Everybody's going to fail. We're all going to screw up.
Yeah.
But like you just said, you got to go out and experience something new. It's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, and it doesn't even have to be like a big outdoor adventure challenge. Like for me, my challenge right now is learning how to set my bow up for this total archery challenge shoot next weekend. Right? Like I've only used a three fixed pin sight. So I changed my arrow setup. I now have a 3-pin adjustable. I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the sight tape right. I don't have a chronographer, like all this stuff that I'm just trying to make it work and figure it out, and it's frustrating and I'm failing a lot, but you know what? Broken arrows and, dented ego, but I'm still going to make it work. And it's those little things that, now I'm going to have one other little bit of knowledge nugget that I didn't have if I would have done what I did the past 3 years, which is like, Oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to shoot out past, 40 yards. Why do I need to shoot out past 40 yards? Because shooting a bow at like 80 to 100 yards is really freaking cool.
Yeah. So you just touched on tack a little bit. Is that the one in PA?
Nope. The next weekend is the one in Vermont. So Vermont is Memorial Day weekend, the 23rd through the 25th, if I remember correctly. And then the following weekend is at Seven Springs, PA, and we'll be at both of those.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's
I
that's
was
going to
I
be a
was
good
going
one.
I was hoping to be home, but nope. Where else are you going to be at? You going to a bunch of different shows? I know you did your you went down south and you're doing the tax. You got anything else lined up?
Yeah, so for the end of May into June, it's the Killington Pico Total Archery Challenge, the 23rd through the 25th. The Seven Springs, Pennsylvania Total Archery Challenge, the 29th through the 1st of June. And then hitting the road from Pennsylvania and heading out to Missoula, Montana. And along the route, I'm going to be trying to just pop into different retail shops and open up some wholesale accounts, or at the very least, show them the product and give them a dealer workbook because that growing and getting exposure for a small brand is very difficult. So I'm taking about a week and a half to make that drive out. Going to meet up with some friends in Kalispell, do some backcountry fly fishing for 3 days, and then I'll be setting up for the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers North American Rendezvous, and that is June 13th through the 15th. So we'll be boothing there. Um, and then I'll be driving back. And then in July, it is New York Hunt Stock, which is at the Mount Vernon National Shooting Preserve. And I believe it's Mount Vernon, New York. And that's July 11th through the 13th. And then the last event that we have for the year is going to be Huntstock, Massachusetts, and that is in um, oh man, I'm blanking on the name. I think it's Wildwood, Mass, or something like that. Forgive me if I'm missing that up and somebody's listening. But it's in Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Huntstock event, and that is the 8th through the 10th of August. Um, Kind of a busy season of events, and they're all really fun if people are able to make any of those. This is going to be my first year doing the rendezvous. I personally am a lifetime member to BHA, and I've been involved in their Armed Forces Initiative program a little bit as well. So, as a conservationist, I'm really honored and excited to be able to have a booth out there and to be around a lot of like-minded individuals supporting access to our public lands for hunting and angling and all other recreational activities.
No, absolutely. Yeah. You sound like you are packed, huh? You got a
Uh,
you got a busy you got a busy couple months coming up here.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this next stint that starts for me on Thursday is really the big one. That's the big stress inducer for me. Just driving all the way essentially across the country, and then back. But then there's some break time, and those other ones are just kind of satellite remote drives. I think New York is probably like an 8 hour drive, so it's not horrible. Um, I've needed to get out for a little bit as well. So getting on the road and seeing the rest of the country is going to be good. But it's leaving to go to do it for events is totally different than just doing a personal trip. So it's a lot of logistics on top of doing all the final assembly of all the products that I just got from the factory this week. So it's definitely busy.
Well, man, you're killing it, and I love to see the effort and the passion that you have for it because it's it's good. It's showing a lot about who you are as a person. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's showing that this is AJ is HuntLyte. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. If I can actually get some time to sit down and do some more content recording and more importantly, sit down and figure out how to edit videos, ultimately that's what I'm trying to work on as well, is putting more information out there. Giving people some different tidbits of information that I learned from climbing that I've applied to saddle hunting, and maybe even getting to some of the tactics that have worked for me. I do pump the brakes on that one a little bit because I've really only been hunting for this is going into my fifth season now. I've been very fortunate and very blessed to have been as lucky as I have, but uh, I don't think that I can make a video on just dumb luck, So I'm still learning those tactics a little bit more.
Yeah, there's some trial and error. That's for sure. It's gonna go into it. And definitely some luck.
Lots of luck.
Lots of luck.
Lots of luck. Sometimes they just walk right up on you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
but
had that.
it makes you happy when they do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you. We talked a little bit. You don't have to go in too deep, but did you ever? Are you gonna make it down to Pennsylvania for the big show in Harrisburg?
That's the Great American Outdoor Show, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the Great American Outdoor Show, right,
Yeah.
Jake?
Y-
Yeah.
Yep.
I
That's
just call it the big show.
yeah, the big show. That's in February, right?
Yeah, that's a ways off. That's after hunting season.
Yeah. Yeah. So, after talking to you guys a little bit more, I'm really appreciative that you brought that up. I mean, I'll go into a little bit of the business stuff. I don't care. Like, I'm not a very good businessman, so there's a lot of stuff that I hadn't been tracking. So I don't know if a lot of these shows have worked out for us over the past. So what I'm actually starting to do now, again, talk about doing hard things and challenging and learning. Like, I learned where I'm deficient in business, and that's tracking a lot of stuff. So if these shows aren't going to be lucrative for us this year, they might be getting put to the chopping block and focusing that energy into the Great American Outdoor Show for that week time frame to get that more exposure. It's at six of one, half dozen of the other. If I were a larger company and we had a little bit more capital, I'd be able to do more of those shows. But at some point, as just being a single individual who's bootstrapping this with my VA disability compensation, um, I've got to start, picking and choosing where I go and seeing what is going to be the best bang for the buck. So the tentative plan right now is to yes go. I'm not sure if I have to go for the entire week or if I can go for a few days, but I think that would be a good amount of exposure to get, for both wholesale and just the general consumer.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I completely agree with what you're saying. I think it will definitely get you to the broader market.
Yeah.
There's
It's people from all over the
I
country.
mean, it's the big show. It's
Yeah.
huge, but we can talk more about that offline. We don't have
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
dive
You
too
know,
deep in it
I,
here.
I love I love the shows that I'm doing this year. Don't get me wrong, because all of the shows that we're doing this year are all outside. Um, and I'd much rather be outside for a 3 day long weekend than inside a big convention center for a week. But at some point we got to make sacrifices, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It'd be a lot nicer to be outside shooting your bow attack and making good connections than sitting in sitting in Harrisburg in a
Yeah.
stinky
Farm
show
show.
complex. But that's where they have it. So yeah. I guess we just kind of wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
You wanna, yeah, you can find HuntLyte on all the socials, right? You're on everything.
Not on X or Discord or any of the other modern day
Oh
ones
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
yet.
Yeah. The big like four.
yeah, yeah. We're not on
Yeah,
that either.
no, on Instagram and Facebook. I do I downloaded TikTok on the work phone, but I haven't put anything out there yet. I'm again, once I start doing a little bit more recording and videos, I am going to probably dip my toes in that while it's still a platform because it seems to be a good way to reach people in that short form content. But it's HuntLyte, and both on Instagram, Facebook, and then HuntLyte.com.
You should do. You'll probably do pretty well on TikTok. We do not. Everything we post, it gets flagged
It gets
and it's
flagged. It
taken
gets
down.
viewer discretion, and I gotta let it sit for a while before we start posting on it again.
But anything with an animal in it it's
Yeah.
yeah. TikTok's not working well for 19 series, but that's okay.
Man, I don't have the capacity to I don't have the capacity to look at like the, community guidelines or any of this kind of stuff. So I just throw stuff out there, and if they kick it back, they kick it back. Like, okay, whatever.
We do the same thing.
I posted the same video twice once.
Yeah, it's either going or it's not. And it is what it is. I mean, we're, we're sitting across the world rocking a couple $100 cell phone here. We're doing what we can.
Yeah, the hard part is on like Facebook, or Google, either one of those two, when it's like, oh, this product is flagged for blah 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 blah, and it's a saddle, and it's like, why is it flagged, man? There's no like guns, there's no nothing in there. And I just did a search of like all of the other saddle companies out there. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're good. It's like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's honestly they run. I think that I hate to be the guy to say it, but I'm blaming AI. They use these
Yeah.
AI systems to try and detect things, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, I've got a love hate relationship with AI. As a being a small business owner, right? Like it's been extremely useful in a lot of things. I'll say it right here on the podcast. I don't care. I use it to help me out with like some of my social media posts, right? Like I prompt it and we go back and forth, or I go back and forth. It's not a we, it's a thing. It's not an it. It's not it's not a person. Um, I've helped it out with, product tracking stuff and just all of these different tools that I would not have been able to figure out on my own, and I wouldn't be able to get to where I am. So uh, there's good and bad with it. I know, it's six of one, half does the other. We don't need to go down that route.
Well, AJ, I have one little thing I want to do before we wrap it up. So I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
And we'll knock it off with this, and then that'll be it. We'll hit this question, and then let you go. You're a busy guy. But if you could buy one product, or we'll call it a system, because you have your saddle systems, from your company, what would you recommend and why?
I mean, that's not really a fair question. I'd buy them all because I make them all.
I
um,
know, but what's the one thing you say? Hey, if you're gonna buy one thing, this is it.
I would probably lean people towards the Workman saddle right now, not just because it's our new saddle, but the way that I look at things is people that are coming to us right now are coming at us because they're saddle hunters and they're looking to get a new saddle. So I would lean them towards the Workman saddle because it's a very it integrates with what you're already wearing. It's light, it's comfortable, and it allows you to not have to carry your saddle in. You can walk in with it and you're not going to notice it's there. We joked around for a little bit when I was trying to figure out names. I'll jump into this a little bit too. So, um, one of the guys wore it into the grocery store, wore the prototype into the grocery store after hunting because he forgot he had it on. So we were considering calling it the grocery getter. Um, but
That's a double. Yeah, that would fit
uh,
both ways.
Yeah. But then after doing some time and thinking about stuff, I named it the Workman because it's named after one of the guys that I served with that was killed overseas. So it's kind of like my way of honoring one of my fallen brothers. So now anybody that buys a Workman, his name is attached to that, which is awesome.
That is very respectable.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I like that. I like that answer because you didn't just throw out some random product or
Yeah.
whatever and try and you know what I mean. You didn't
Yeah.
just say, "Hey, let's boost the business here." You went in and you actually thought about it. Because that's the one question I like asking everybody is if you could buy one product, what would you buy and why? And I think you nailed it.
Yeah, and that's really hard because, like I've made all the products for myself first and foremost because it's what I've wanted. And for me now, my thought process isn't about me. It's about, well, who's the customer that I'm selling to? What do they want? What kind of hunting do they do? So it's all these other questions that if you're asking me, it's like, yeah, I'll buy them all because I like them all. But just try to remove myself a little bit and bring other folks, other customers into it as well is kind of the big one.
I know I asked you this question, but my perspective is I agree because, like you said earlier in this podcast, when you're buying the saddle system, when you're buying the Workman, you're sort of you're buying that Ken GI Joe, that doll. You're buying the base model, and then you're expanding off of that. So it's like that's the perfect entry into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But all right, got anything else, AJ? You want to add before we wrap her up here?
No, I think we touched on a lot of stuff. I mean, this is a hour and 15 plus. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here. A lot of the stuff we're talking about just makes me laugh. The stuff you bring up with your old military days and embracing the suck, and it just makes me smile because
Not much has changed.
yeah,
You guys got a little bit better gear. You were talking about the waffle tops, and man, like I didn't even get issued the waffle tops.
really.
Oh yeah,
They
no, that
are
came
one
in right after. I got mine was all the old like brown polypro stuff.
They are one of the best. I dare say the very best wind blockers you could ever wear underneath your clothes.
Yeah, the best thermals. I love them. Same with like a whoopee. Something as simple as a whoopee. Fantastic.
I still have the whoopee that I got from the first unit that I was in Korea. I did not turn that into CIF, so I paid for that.
There you go.
Now,
It's
do you,
worn, it's disgusting, but it's mine. It's my whoopee.
now here's one for you on the whoopee. Do you have the smoker's jacket?
So I didn't get issued a smoker's jacket. However, I did go to the Army Navy store here and buy a smoker's jacket specifically for hunting. Because I think it's a really good insulation jacket to use. Um, I've used it. It's still a little bulky for my taste because I'm still coming from that like weenie, climbing, lightweight, packable down stuff. But when it's wet and it's rainy and all that stuff, like that smoker's jacket is awesome.
Yeah, I picked one up for free, and it was the best thing I could have ever picked up.
Yeah, they're so warm.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. This was like I said, this was a great time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun, and I feel like we touched on just about anything we could think of, and
Yeah.
we learned a little bit about your products, you probably learned something about us here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is super fun, guys. I'm looking forward to you guys getting back. We'll stay connected and try to get together and do something in person this hunting season. I think that'd be really fun. I've heard good things about the late season Pennsylvania muzzleloader. I don't know if I'm supposed to throw that out to the general public.
You want to come down to PA? I'll do my damnedest for you.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
guarantee anything, but I'll do my damnedest.
yeah, and same. If you guys want to come up here to New Hampshire or Maine, I've got my lifetime in both. And I know you guys were talking about bear hunting over in Maine with dogs. I know some people who know some people. If you guys are interested in bait,
Okay.
I'm gonna have some bait sites this year too here in New Hampshire. So let's definitely stay connected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. We'll have to talk off the podcast here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But all right, guys, we'll wrap this thing up, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.
That's it.